On Monday 8, 2024, Ecoters paid a courtesy visit to Professor Olufemi M. Adesope, a professor of Agricultural Extension, Livelihood and Enterprise Development (ICT), Department of Agricultural Extension and Development Studies, University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Professor Olufemi traced his origin to his involvement in being an environmentalist, to his childhood, and the environment which he grew up.
Well, I think I would say it all started while I was young, a younger man or a younger boy, if I would say. I grew up in the barracks. My father was a soldier. So more like growing up in an agrarian and rustic environment. What I mean, there were farmlands. There was that passion. Well, I didn't know I was going to study agriculture anyway, but it just came in a circumstantial way. I was a very good science student, but somehow my physics, I was struggling with it. So I had that problem. If I go to move on with science, it may not work out. So let me look for another. Medicine was out of it because I didn't like the smell of drugs. So the other option was engineering. I know I'm very analytical. Engineering, accountancy, journalism. I was good in almost all the subjects, truly. So at a point, I didn't really know what I wanted to study. So I thought I was going to be a journalist because I was very, very good in shorthand, in typing, in bookkeeping, woodwork, metalwork, all of those stuff. So when I got to Form 3, I think in their wisdom, they felt, no, this guy is good. And they went through my trajectory. Obviously saw that I would be better off in the sciences. So I was in the science class. But the issue of filling a course for JAMB, when I saw that medicine was out of the question and my physics, I was worried. So, well, let me look for agriculture. Engineering, like I said, first, then agriculture and accounting. Those were the three options I had. So somehow, I think when I applied for JAMB, University of Ibadan sent me a letter. Those days, they post letters to you. It's not like these days, you have to go look. My parents were in Ohafia. And I started by saying I grew up in the barracks. So we're always moving from one barrack to another. There's no part of this country I've not touched by virtue of my father's movement and by virtue of my being a lecturer too. So in all the 6 geopolitical zones, either I've lived there or all the south zones, I've covered them. I've lived in every of them. Maybe in north, west, and northeast. I've been to all of them, but there are some I've not covered. So like the environment was like a rustic one. We had farms. My father had big farms, very large farms. So I'm also a poet. This is my poetry collection. Many of them, like my poetry collections and my write-offs, were inspired by the agrarian and rustic environments too. So I'm trying to relate how I got into all of this. So there was a particular poem I wrote, and it's titled Silent Songs. Well, an anthology, a collection of several poems. There was one song of the banana plant. There was song of Kadangere. Kadangere is lizard in Hausa. There's song of the termites. Actually, song of the termites syncs with what happens in the Niger Delta. The oppressions and all of it. That's how I pictured it. So I got inspired by my environment in the rustic barracks. Like we had farms everywhere. So that's why even as in my career as an agriculturist, everywhere I live, I always have something at the back of my house, inspired by my mother and the environment we grew up. So there's always been that passion actually to want to add value to the environment. Like somebody once asked me, what do you want to be remembered for? I said, I want to be remembered for someone who adds value, naturally to add value. So everywhere I walk, I always add value, no matter how it is. So the environment, I know I've been doing the much I could. Very recently, I started a black soda fly farm. Black soda fly is part of what I'm going to be talking about at this Waste to Wealth. People have not been talking about it. When I delivered my inaugural lecture in 2021, I mentioned it. I expected the fisheries expert, the animal science expert to have picked. As you see, we are so sluggish about picking ideas and innovations in Nigeria. Now, BSF, as we call it, black soda fly, is a natural fly that flies around. And it looks more like the wasp. That's one that stings, but it doesn't sting. The beauty of it is that it doesn't carry any diseases like the housefly does. So it doesn't even have mouth parts to do that anyway. Now, the active ingredient in the cycle is the larva. That's what we can leverage on. Now, the beauty for the environment, how that helps to manage the environment is the larva can convert any form of waste So you may, like one of my suggestions has always been that we can help reduce landfills if we have parchments of BSF farms around most of those. Like you go along the airport road, you see the entire place is smelling now. If we have parchments of this stuff, then we have to convert all of those stuff to what I call environmental assets. These assets now become raw manure, which we can use to plant. We can have topically on our vegetables, on the soil, and also improve soil health. So BSF is there. On the other hand, BSF is also a source of live feeds for our livestock, for fish and for poultry. It has 30 to 35% crude protein content and very healthy fat. So unlike now, there's this hue and cry about the side effects of GMO. There is no way any one of us has not consumed poultry products fed with products from GMOs, because soybean, maize are two major ingredients in feed formulations. And there's no way we will not have. So if you go test yourself, you'll discover that there are issues, but it's just that God has been seeing us through. So the thing is, like I said, I want to be remembered for adding value to the environment. And all of this started while I was young, growing up in the barracks, and then my trajectory over the past 30 years as an academic and a lecturer.
He also talked about his disappointment in the involvement of the media when it comes to news concerning the environment and the states.
Now, I've been an advocate of change related to news reportage, related to agriculture, related to climate change and things like that. Unfortunately, now people don't buy newspapers again. Now, it has never even improved. Way back 1980s, when the issue of reportage related to agriculture-related news started, you discovered that barely 1% of the total news coverage was related to agriculture. I know that in 1996 or thereabout, I also did a study, and I found this not different. And in the past 15 to 20 years, we've still been doing similar studies. So what I'm trying to bring out of this is the fact that I think either the broadcasters, the reporters, because I've also tried the TV houses, the radio houses, the difference is not very significant. That is, in terms of reporting environmental-related, agriculture-related, climate change-related news, it's not adequate. And I want to believe it's because of maybe the background information we grew up with. Because, there's so much about fashion, there's so much about sports and all of that. You can imagine Big Brother Nigeria. Yes, Big Brother Nigeria, I think, or Big Brother Africa. A lot of money is pumped into such a thing. So who would want to listen to news related to climate that is affecting and inflicting pains on us, not minding the problems surrounding the entire lot? So people would rather go for the easy ones. So I also think those who are charged with the responsibility of news placements are not doing enough. Most of these things have to do with dedicatedness and also deliberate effort to ensure that we place news. It doesn't matter how small, we'll start from there. Because again, you are trying to make money. The newspaper houses are trying to make money. So how much money will they get from such news? I know that's the issue, but it's better to put a little than not to put at all. So that way, there are people like us who have always been showing interest. You never can tell, you never can say how it will blossom. So I think there's all the media houses, print and electronic media, should do more.